Welcome to the Manifestation Lab. This is your host, Kelly Howe. From the grounded science to the mystical and unseen, we're investigating this big experiment we call life and finding what really works when it comes to manifesting a life that sets your heart and your soul on fire. Welcome to the lab. Okay, so after a lot of technical difficulties, I am finally able to launch into this podcast with my guest today. I have Brenda Breland here today, and if I'm honest, we've been trying to make this podcast happen for 2 years, maybe longer.
Yeah, girl, I feel like it's been a long time coming.
It's been a long time coming. We met online as coaches and mentors and just have stayed in touch off and on through the years. And now we're finally in person, getting to do a podcast together. So excited to be here with you today.
Thank you for having me. And what's crazy is you're literally 20 minutes away from me.
I know. We're close. It's not like you live in a different state or, that far away at all. It's just, life is crazy.
It is, girl. It is, especially when you're running an online business. But I think that's kind of where we connected was we're both doing online businesses and we know very similar people. I think it's crazy. I've talked to so many people that have known you. I'm I did not know. And Shannon and all of those people. So it's crazy how close our little groups are.
Lots of overlapping circles, for sure. It's really fun. I think that there's a lot happening I'm sure this is happening everywhere, but it feels like networks are connecting and these circles that have been sort of overlapping but a little bit disconnected. It feels like the health and wellness world is locking into me right now. Are you feeling that too?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are figuring out that there's different modalities and ways to feel better. It's not just meal plans and workouts anymore. And I think you're seeing that shift across the industry in general, which I love that for us.
Yeah, it's it's a people first. Obviously not that the strategy goes away, but it feels different right now. People are so invested in themselves and coaches are invested in their people in a different way. And I'm just really excited to have you here and talk about what you do. So let's talk about your business. You've got a few different facets of your business. So let's talk about what you do and what those businesses look like.
Yeah. So I do online fitness coaching. That's kind of how I got into the industry was, I was postpartum and I was I was only given an option after having my son to be on medication for what they consider was postpartum depression. And long story short, I was just give me a week to kind of figure this out and see if that's what I want to do. And long story short, I jumped back into my fitness journey. And 9 years later, I'm still here and I've turned that into 2 other businesses where I now help other online coaches and business owners scale their business and, try to find their authentic space, so to speak, in their industry. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's definitely grown and changed over the years, but it all started with like you said, my want to help other people kind of see how good they can feel and what they're capable of outside of the standard stereotypical fitness program and everything that goes along with that.
I love that. Talk to me a little bit about what makes your process and your coaching different than, like you said, just meal plans and go work out 30 minutes a day or whatever, basic bitch stuff that's out there.
Yeah, 100%. I think the biggest thing is, I really say now, I stopped coaching fitness and I started coaching healing. And for me, it comes down to we can cram as many workouts and meal plans into our day as possible. And let's be honest, most of that shit is free on the internet anyways. But that's not what's making people heal and feel better, right? It normally for me, fitness was the open, the gate to truly seeing how my body can heal and how my mind can heal and how my nervous system can heal and all of these things. And as I've gone through that, that's kind of how I've shifted. And I think I differ in that aspect of we're going to lose weight and you're going to feel better, but that's a bystander of us healing your body, right? And looking at these symptoms and things that you're experiencing on a daily basis. So, it's taking the symptoms, right? It's actually looking at why are you not losing weight? Why are you holding weight? Why do you have horrible periods? Why do you have acne, inability to, or anxiousness, low libido? these are all signs of something, our body trying to tell us something. So instead of just saying like, hey, let's fix your weight loss problem and make you lose weight, let's fucking get to the root cause of why you're having that issue and get you feeling better. And I think that's really the difference in how, my quote unquote fitness program, which is, that's what what people view it as, is different from other people in the space.
I fucking love that, Brenda. Yeah. Like as you're talking about it, it's making me tear up because it is so much about the deeper healing journey for people, whether it's your body or, like you said, you're working on your anxiousness. Like, it's not disconnected. It's not separate. It's all one mind, body, spirit thing that's working together. And I love that you're taking that approach. So if it doesn't feel too vulnerable, could you talk to us about like that day that you go to the doctor and you're dealing with postpartum? Like, what kind of things were you specifically dealing with during that time that made you like, I have got to make a change, or I've got to figure this out?
So there was like this one moment for me, and it cracks me. Like it's hard to even talk about still because I remember how I felt in that time. But that's why I do this, because I remember how shitty I felt. But I was sitting on my couch and I was watching my kids. My son was like, I think 4 months old at the time, maybe 5. My daughter was 2, and they're like my son's laying on the floor doing his like tummy time, and my daughter's there, and I was sitting there, and I just like, I don't know how to explain it other than like, I just felt dead inside. I'm like, okay, like I have these kids. I have like the stereotypical 9 to 5. I had enough, wasn't great money, but it was good money for me at the time. I had insurance. I just felt like I wasn't happy in anything, like it was almost like I was faking it to a point of like, oh great. Like you have like all the things that look so perfect from the outside. But I was sitting there thinking like, I don't even recognize myself. I don't recognize the life. Like I want to feel happy right now. I should feel happy, but I don't. And that's whenever I went and I talked to my OB, and that's when she was like, she's like, I think you have postpartum depression and blah blah blah. And I know, I'm a very anxious person. I'm very like, I am a grinder, and I know my personality. But in that moment when she's like, I just think you need this medication. I think medication there's a time and a place, and there's people who need it. Yeah. For me, I didn't feel like that was going to fix my issue. Like I felt like it was deeper than that. Like I was like, this is more. This is way more than this. Like this is a symptom as like things are stacking up. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I had the exact same experience where I knew I wasn't myself. And mine showed up, I would say, looking back, there was definitely depression mixed in with it, but mine was definitely like a physical hijacking anxiety where like my body would shake and my heart would pound and like I would break into a sweat or I would get really cold. And I just felt like completely out of control with my body. And I finally got to the place where I realized that the stress had been compounding and that I wasn't quote unquote fine. Like I wasn't fine. Like kept telling myself I was fine. And I did the exact same thing where I was like, I have this beautiful house. I have this amazing husband. I have the kids. I have this cool car and like this career. And, I was shoulding myself. Like I should be grateful. But I just didn't feel it inside. Yeah. But I had the exact same feeling like, there's something that's causing this. And I just had this like push away from the idea of doing medication. And I'm with you. I feel like there's a time and a place, but what breaks my heart is that so many people don't realize it's an option to heal out of that and to heal through it. First, I mean, maybe not for everyone. Maybe that's not like 100% blanket statement, but you can heal through it. You can, So I love that we're talking about this because I know that there's thousands, millions of women experiencing that and like not understanding why they're, we know, right, that mindset is so important and that gratitude is so important. But when you can't organically feel it and we're just trying to, like you said, force it, there's just something else going on.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, the mindset and the gratitude, at that point in my life, I didn't value that, right? Like I was like, oh, that's like woo-woo, I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not writing in a journal. And, that's okay at that point in time. And I know like it was a process for me, but I think a lot of women are sitting in that same spot thinking like, yeah, I'm going through my day to day and like, I'm okay. And from the outside, it looks great, but like they feel like they're missing something. And I think getting into the mindset and the healing, and whether it starts with fitness or whether it starts with tapping or counseling or yoga, whatever it is, I think the goal ultimately and what what is lacking is like just a level of self-awareness and like knowing who you are and what makes you happy and how to just be okay being that. Because we're like in a society that's like, go to work, do all these things and do all that. And like, that's, you're checking those boxes and you should be great. No, that doesn't fucking work.
It doesn't.
And that's why so many people are miserable. And it's just, it's frustrating. But I also know like, you know, that's why we do what we do, is like we share our journeys and we share our vulnerability, hoping that even if you just take a tiny bit of what we say or a random like cringy reel that we post online, right, that it might inspire you to like take one small step into like really healing, and whether that's mindset, body, you know, any of those things.
Right. All of it. And I'm glad we're talking about this, because I was actually the opposite, where I already valued the mindset work. I had already gotten into things like the law of attraction, and I was already really keyed into, I mean, obviously not to the degree I am now, but I was already interested in that. And what's different about where we were, but like the same, is that I did value it, but I was doing all this, oh, I just need to shift my thoughts. I just need to think more positively. And that's all important, you know, but that's kind of my soapbox, is that it's like, if you are catching your thoughts and you're reciting affirmations and saying, I'm so grateful for my life, but you feel nothing inside when you say it, then you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, so I was in a different position where I was like, I was trying so hard to mindset my way out of it, and I had done nothing to deal with my body and my anxiety and my stress.
Yeah. It's wild. We were like both on totally opposite sides and like
And
basically
came to the same place.
Yes. Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
I know. It's
awesome.
It's awesome. And so there was something that you mentioned. It was, you said, you know, we need to find out who we are on the inside. And what strikes me as so powerful about that is that I feel like that's one of the biggest things when I start working with women, and I went through this journey, is recognizing all of the thousands of places every single day that I speak for someone else to make them comfortable, or where I would take actions for someone else, or pull away from something that I wanted to do because it made someone else upset or uncomfortable, right? And like living our lives for other people. Were you doing that as well?
Oh, girl, yeah. I mean, I feel like I was like, because I jumped into the online space, you know, I've always been very like quirky and fun and like kind of like what I would consider a little out of the box, you know, considered standards, which I don't view it as that now. But going into the online space, I'm like, oh, I need to show up this way and I need to do this. And like, knowing that I wanted to build that business, it would like for 2 to 3 years, I was just trying to carbon copy other people. Well, that was manifesting itself, like its way into my life in all these aspects. And again, even though I was like, hey, I'm getting out of this, I'm going into this business, it's going to make me happy. And it did. I quickly found myself trying to like fit into more boxes.
Yep.
And then again, I'm like, why the fuck am I unhappy? Why, you know, I have the business now and I'm still unhappy. And that's when it was like, for me, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I have to like, if I want to get online and I want to say something, I just want to be able to fucking say it. Like it doesn't matter if it's, you know, if it's selling or whatever. I just want to create like a space for myself to where I can just be.
Yep.
And that took time. Like it wasn't just a switch, right? Like I think I'm still learning through that. Like,
yep.
Like even this year, as much as like even dressing, I'm like, I just want to dress the way I want to fucking dress and like make myself, you know, and I think healing and life in general is so fucking fun whenever you literally sit and think, what can I learn about myself this year? What can I learn about myself? Or how can I do something that I've been wanting to do? Or like in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, I want to do that, and just fucking do it and see what happens.
And just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. It's beautiful. I mean, everything you're talking about is so relevant to where I'm at also. And I think both of us have gone through iterations of like being more bold and being more confident and just saying the thing and doing the thing. And there's so many places where I feel like I'm so expanded in that. And then social media is a place that I really struggle. And I'm bringing that up because I feel like you are somebody that I watch and I'm like, yes, I want to be that free out there, you know, whereas I think pretty much when I'm in person with people and I'm in conversation, there's not a lot that I hold back, but for some reason it's like, it doesn't land the same on social media. So can you speak to that at all? Because I love watching what you put out. And it's like, what comes to mind is the one that you did the other day where you're like eating, I don't know, it was like Chinese food out of a styrofoam. And you're like, I'm just going to show you bitches what it looks like to show up authentically. And I was like, God, I love that so much. But if I'm honest, it's really still a challenge for me, even though I've come so far, but it's still a challenge.
What I love is like, I'm going to keep going to that. So like, we're so opposite, which is funny because I had my turning point for me was totally opposite because I went to a conference and I walked into the room and I was around a bunch of people that were like what I considered as mentors, right? And one of them came up to me and they're like, I expected you to be like way more like just you. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. I'm like a little intimidated. They're like, why? No. And I was like, well, fuck. Like I'm showing up online as like my normal self. And then I get in these rooms and I'm like, tame down. Cause like there's people, so like that was my shifting point. So it's a little opposite. But yeah, so showing up online for me is like I said, I had to give myself the permission and set business goals aside. And I really do think that matters because when you're growing a business online or you're trying to grow a brand, everyone wants to tell you like, you have to treat it this way. You have to do this. Well, it just doesn't work for me. I'm not saying it can't work for other people. It just doesn't work for me. But like for me, relatability and connection is so important. And that's why I post the way I do. I'm like, okay, like if I'm sitting in my car eating my random meal, waiting to pick up my kids and like literally looking for my cell phone that's in my hand at the same time, other people are feeling that same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm just going to fucking post this. Right. And I truly enjoy being on social media so much more now because it's like, I'm not like, yes, I'm still strategic with what my goals are for social media, but I don't have like guidelines. Like if I feel like posting something one day, I'm going to fucking post it and see what happens. You know what I mean? It's like at this point, I don't have anything to lose with my social media account. Like if I'm inspiring or someone like feels happy or feels any type of emotion that could possibly help them move forward or realize something or whatever, like that's my goal. I don't need to make a sale on the other side of it. I really don't. I just want to enjoy what I'm doing and connect with people. That's like all my goal is anymore.
Well, and that's probably why you've been so successful online because there's not that desperation behind it. You're using it as a creative expression outlet, and also obviously as a business platform.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I'm not. Even the last year, I had to have some serious conversations with myself, and I think I posted this. Is like growing a business is important, right? And I want to make money. I grew up with very little, right? Like I know what it feels like to have nothing, and I know what it feels like to have your card declined and be scared to even buy groceries. But like at some point, I had to realize like, okay, like I can't keep just wanting to make more money in this business. I can't keep doing that. And I think that's when it switched for me is like, if I just show up and be me and make connections, the money will come to me. Like that will happen. And that's for me was probably one of the hardest things to actually believe. Because I could say that all fucking day long, but actually believing that is a whole other thing. And I think that's something I didn't even really, I would even say the last 8 to 12 months was like when I actually started believing it and being like, okay, like
this is real. I've been taught this. I've been thinking it. I've embraced the concept, but now you're like truly living it.
Yeah. So it's like I think everything. I believe like everything is like leading me in the direction of where I'm supposed to be, right? So like I think that mindset served me for some reason for that time, and obviously it made me successful, and now I can help other people do it. But now I'm like shifting into like, yes, I can get to goal, but I don't need that. I don't need to chase the money goal to be successful. Yeah. And I think that's a big shift that I made. And I think being authentic online and creating the content the way I've created it has allowed me to believe that.
I wonder if the astrology is influencing a lot of us in that way because we have just done this huge transition this year in so many ways, I can't even really get into, but there's been so many major transitions, and Pluto into Aquarius, I think, is bringing people. We shifted out of Capricorn, which is very like driven, business oriented, and not that Aquarius can't be or won't be, but it is way more focused on people and the collective. Yeah, and so I'm hearing that from a lot of women, and you just beautifully verbalized what I think is astrologically happening. So it's cool to see it play out in the people around me and myself too. And I just want to say, like, I am going through this inner journey right now with my business and with money and having this whole, like, I'm really trying to keep my business going enough so that I can write my book. And it's a really weird place to be in. And I just want to talk about it because every time the universe is like, okay, you want to write your book, then it's like my schedule opens up and then I panic.
Yeah.
Over
You're
money.
Like, oh shit, I'm failing.
Oh shit, right? But then I like reconnect with my spirit guides and I go inside and it's like, no, right now, there is not a big part of me that wants to be a quote coach. You know, like that does not light me up right now. What lights me up is being an author.
Yeah.
And so it's just an interesting place because in order to step into author energy, in order to step into that version of myself, I have to be okay with not making as much money in my business.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like there's times, you know, and this is where it's so hard being an online business mentor for me because number one, it was so hard for me to share how much money I made online because I came from nothing and it was like, you don't talk about that. When that was a mindset shift. And now I don't mind talking about it. Like, I think it's empowering. It really is. Like, I want to talk about that with people if they want to. But the other side of that is like, you have to understand that in your business, you don't always, like, it can't always be this grind to make money. Like for me, I can't be super creative in a space where I'm like trying to launch and like do all of these things. I need to allow myself the space. And like I talked about that December, like I basically took off. I didn't post much online, nothing. And like it was a mindset of like 2 days in, I'm like, fuck, my business is blowing up. I'm going to lose all my money and I'm not going to be able to make my house payment.
Total.
And like all
panicked.
These things. Yeah. And it's like, but is that reality? Like it's probably not. So it's like, it's such a hard place to be in. And I'm sure you probably experience it too, because your business, you know, you own a business while you're also trying to tell people to like live in a space where you're allowing yourself the grace. But it's like hard because you're like, you're talking to people who want to make money and do all of these things. But at the same time, you're like, hey, give yourself grace. Don't show up online.
Right. Pull back.
Pull back. But also we still need to keep momentum. Right. So
it's tricky.
It's so tricky. And there's like different, you know, everyone's at such different places in their journey. And I think that's what's important. And I don't, it's hard because I don't ever want someone to look at me and be like, oh, you know, she scaled her business to, you know, 40K months this fast and like think that's what they can do. Is it possible? Yes. But like, do you need to do it that way? Do you need to? No, you don't. But like, there's a million different ways to get to that goal. And sometimes that goal means, hey, if you're struggling, take the fucking time off.
Yeah.
Allow yourself the grace.
Right. Because we're just too complex. We're not the same. And our souls didn't come here with the same journey.
No.
You know, and I again, I've been reconfiguring this inside of myself recently and being like, can I truly like 100% love myself and find value in myself, not giving anyone else permission to give me that value. If I decided to just close up shop tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, am I as valuable to the world?
Yeah.
And I know the answer is yes. But if I'm really honest, that's where I'm like, that's where I'm doing that dance right now is like, oh, I want to push myself to be that person, to be like, even if I pulled in no money for the rest of the year, am I valuable to my husband, to my kids, to myself, to my friends? Like, you know, it's just interesting.
It's so interesting because oftentimes we, you know, our value we associate with money and it's not, that's not it. And I think like, that's like, I think that's kind of the shift for me is like, I'm almost trying to shift my mindset to where it's like my value truly is on connections and relationships. And like, I don't know. It's like when for me, like that fuels me so much. Like
Same.
even just sitting here, like this is so much better than being on a Zoom.
Oh,
I'm like,
1,000%. I know it feels so good to
like
be
the
with
energy,
people, to be with you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm such an empath, like type of person. Like I pull off of other people's energy and like, and I think like being able to utilize that in the coaching space and being able to put the value on that, I think it supports everyone. It doesn't just support you. You know what I mean? So it's like you're fueling into other people, which is essentially going to fuel you. And like, it helps you disassociate that value with money a little bit, or at least it has for me. And it's been really fun over the last year being able to be like, okay, like I can go hang out with this person and like let's talk and none of it has to do with a sale or money or anything. And it's almost like a burden is lifted off your shoulders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm getting back to that too, where it's like I love being with people. I'm constantly fascinated and grateful for the online space. But my favorite thing to do is to talk to people in person and to speak to groups in person. And so, and I do feel a little bit disconnected from the community right now, where I was doing a lot of talks in town and speaking, and just for whatever reason over the last few years, it just kind of fell away. And so this year, that's definitely like on my vision board is to get back in front of people, to do this with people in the same space so we can be in each other's energy. And it's just, and there was something else you said, Brenda, I just want to like highlight. And that was that, you're pouring into connection. That is truly like what your focus is. And I think that is why you can talk about how much money you make. And it doesn't like, at least for me, because I follow a lot of coaches and mentors, and there's sometimes when it comes off and it's just like the energy behind it feels different. And I think that's why it doesn't come off as like, icky at all. I mean, like it doesn't at all because you're focused on people and the connections. And so you can be like, and I want this for you. I want you to feel this kind of freedom, whether it is 40K months or 4K months. Like, what is that next level of freedom for you?
Yeah. And I think like with that connection too, I think the biggest thing is like getting people to see what they're capable of, right? Like your goal shouldn't be to do what I did. Your goal should be to like build what you truly want, right? And I think part of like the coaching journey, whether it's fitness or business, that I love so much is like both of those are like gates to seeing what you're capable of. Because it fuels people. I'm like, okay, if I can get you to see how much control you have over your body and how good you feel, you're gonna see, oh, I can maybe get a different job, or I can build my business, or I can travel if I want, or open up an Airbnb, right? And it's the same thing with your business. When you see, oh, I can make $1,000 a month, even if it's just that one first goal.
Totally.
You're like, oh. And I think I realized that too. And I think like, again, I'm so big on the connections, because it's like, if I'm trying to coach you or work with you and I don't know who you are, at least I'm not willing to try to know who you are at the core, how am I going to get you to that next goal? Whether it's your body or your business, right? So like that to me is why that connection is so important, is because like I was in those boxes in my life and my business. My goal, yes, I have a strategy that I know works, but my goal with both of those is never to like put you into the box. It's to like get to know you so I can say, oh, okay, this works. Here's how I think it would work for you. Like, what are your thoughts? Right? And I think that's how connection kind of builds into the businesses for me, is to like be able to build the connection, help empower them, show them how they can get results, and hope that they like fucking take that and run with it.
Yeah.
Whether it's with me on their own, whatever they do with it, and I think that's how I kind of view that connection, like kind of filtering into the other people and in my business and all the things.
Like the paying it forward energies.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Have you been in, I think you just said you did, have you been in coaching, mentorship, relationships that felt like someone was trying to cram you into a box?
Girl.
Because I have.
So many.
And I feel like it scarred me a little bit.
Oh, the PTSD. I was joking, like, you have coach PTSD. Which, like, and I'll be honest, like, not, like, I think this is why connection is important too, because you know who you can and can't work with. And like, you should, as a coach, you should be able to say, look, I don't think we're a good fit, because it doesn't benefit anyone. It just doesn't. But I've been in so many, I mean, the amount of money, I'm sure you understand, that's invested in mentors is astronomical. But that's why I built BBA the way I did, and why I coach the way I coach is because I'm very type A. Like, I want someone to say, here's what we need to do next, X, Y, and Z. Hey, I know, like, I need you to think about this and then get back to me. Like, I can't take a course or something like that and be like, here, peace out, take it and implement it. Like, just doesn't work for me. So that's why I built like my programs the way I built them. But yeah, I invested $7,000 into a mentor. She was the person on the sales call with me, right? Like, she was very well known. Get into her mentorship, never saw her again. Never saw her again. Put her with like I was with the assistant coaches. It was like one of those things. I never regret a mentorship. Never. I've never been like, I didn't get anything out of that. I always learned something. And I think essentially like I had multiple mentors that taught me what I needed. And then that allowed me to create something that I think.
Right. Even if it's not enjoyable, we see, okay, well, I don't want to be that. I don't want to do that. I went through an experience with that, even with subscriptions, because I had a membership for about 8 months. And then it's kind of a long story, but I had some like major tech issues with the system I was using. So I was like, I have got to close this down and reboot. And I just, on the other side, decided I'm not going to reboot. I'm going to work on some other stuff. But I realized like right before I started the membership, I was getting all these things from the universe and people talking about how much they hate memberships and how much they hate subscriptions and they hate this and the other. And so I started paying attention. I was like, they don't hate memberships and subscriptions. They hate the sleazy way that like people slide it in under the radar and that make it so difficult to get out of a subscription. So it was like, I took all that and I was like, now I can create something that is what I want and doesn't feel icky and sleazy because it's not going to, I'm not going to be sleazy about it. Like, if you want out, this is the way you get out. And I'm going to continue to remind you of that the entire time because I'm not trying to get you to forget. No. Like, is what so many subscriptions seem like they do.
They're so bad. It's like, how much can we charge where they don't remember it on their bank statement every month?
Yeah.
I was actually just I met with a BBA client before this, and we were talking about, low ticket offers, and like, that's essentially what they run on, and those low ticket subscription offers, most of them are ran on like, hey, let's get them in. Like, they'll feel good and then they forget about it. And we have high, quote unquote, high retention. No, that's not retention. You're not working with them. They just fucking forgot about you.
Exactly.
So in which that works. I'm not saying I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but that's not for everyone. And I think that's what you did is you kind of filled in a gap of the people who like the accessibility of a subscription, but want more of like the actual like human on the other side of it.
Exactly. Yeah, we did both for sure. And it was great. I may relaunch it, but one of the things I realized is that it felt like there was no end to it. There was no end. And I think for some people that feels amazing, but like I need to have a beginning, middle, and end and like tie it up and then have the in between of like, I'm not doing that for a while. Yeah. And so I don't think I'll ever launch it in the like ongoing membership space again, but I may decide to do it like as a 6-month kind of thing. So I don't know if that resonates at all, but like 100%. If I'm like locked in and there's like no way out and there's no end, I'm like, that's not how my energy feels the best.
I have to like, I call it a roadmap. Like I have to know where we're going and the steps that we're taking. And like, that's my ideal client also needs to know that. They need to know like, here's where we're going. Here's how long it's going to take us to get there. And then once we get there, if they want to continue, we have options to be able to continue and decide what our next steps are. But like, to me, that should be a collaborative conversation. It's like, okay, once we reach that goal, now what? Or is it like you're on your own? You go and do your thing, live your life, and but yeah, I agree. Like it's again, subscriptions. It's not a one size fits all thing. It doesn't work for everyone.
Well, and I'm super jealous of the people that it does. Like I really want that to work. Like I want to just set it up and pull people in. I want them to want to stay forever. Doesn't that sound amazing?
Yeah, you'd be anxious on the other side because you'd be like, no one's talking to me, and like this person hasn't checked in. You're like checking your roster every day. Like I haven't talked to this person.
It's so true.
Like what'd you do all day? I messaged clients to see what they're doing.
Exactly, because I need to connect with people. Yeah, I can't just feel like I'm floating out here by myself. So
so a question for you, Randa. Yeah. So you said connection, and you were talking about that. So like, are you doing your retreats again this year? Like, what are you doing?
So funny that you ask. Okay, so I talked to the other women. The first one that we did was 2 years ago. This has been evolving, right? So 2 years ago, we launched the Wild Expansion Retreat. It was incredible. I instantly was like, I want to do that again. But I did it with 3 other women, and they all have big businesses. And this has been like my dream. They haven't been dreaming of hosting retreats for for their entire career, but I have been like, this is what I want to do. So for me, it was like obvious. We'll just do this again. Well, I don't think that the other 3 are going to continue with the retreat. Last year, we just went back to the same house, just as friends, and did a similar experience, but it was just as friends, and it wasn't like me organizing it. I'm like right now, probably in the next week, trying to decide if I'm going to do a retreat in September and do the Wild Expansion Retreat, just hosting it by myself. So that'll be,
Girl, I love retreats. Like there is nothing better than getting that energy in the same room for days and going through different experiences. And I've been to so many different retreats, like I've done the wellness retreats. I've done the breath, the ayahuasca. I've done all of those things, and every single time, like it's like a transformative experience. It doesn't matter if it's just business or a healing type of retreat. It's just like nothing replaces that.
And Wild Expansion was really kind of both. We did we did both, and it was amazing. So thank you for bringing that up. Maybe that's like a sign that I need to go ahead and just get that on the calendar and do it. But
I think so.
And you host retreats also, don't you?
Yeah. So I do my business retreat for my business coaching clients. And then we actually have some things in the works for a wellness style retreat partnering with someone, which I haven't really told anyone that, but I love retreats.
Yeah.
I love seeing people in person, and while I will always do my online business, the more I can get in person with people, the happier I am. And so, yeah, we do BBA retreat in Scottsdale. I love Scottsdale.
I've never been. Tell me about it.
It's just like, I just love the vibe there. I also, like I live in the middle of Missouri, and I just think I'm not supposed to live here. I'm telling you, I'm not. This is not.
I'm supposed to live by the ocean.
Me too. That's where I'm supposed to be, is by water and the sun. Like, I can't, like, every winter I'm like, why do I do this? But someday.
Yeah.
But we go. So there's there's business in there. I can't think of the name. Oh, Stay with Style Scottsdale. So they have like these massive houses, and they're like pretty, like they're really cool mansions with these cool pools and all of this. So we all get to stay in one house, which I love.
Oh yeah, I love that.
And obviously, like, travel is a pretty good there. So we all stay in a house, and we have speakers come in, and like we chill, and we all eat together, and we go out like to dinner. So it's like that one is very much like strategic for business. Which I love. And then, I even just throw on the ideas of, like, I told one of my friends who owns a business, I was like, hey, how about we just pick a day in November, and we say, we're going to this retreat. Anyone else, like business owners or people that want to meet us, like, let's just meet. Like,
I'd be there.
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
Yeah. Just like get in the same room with people. It doesn't even have to have an agenda.
Like more of like a mastermind kind of vibe, where you just get together and hang. And then, like, I think when you're with those kind of people, those business conversations and personal growth and healing conversations happen organically.
Oh, it's so organic. And that almost is like, you sometimes get more out of those types of conversations than you do like these conferences.
Totally agree.
So
totally
that's
agree.
what, yeah.
I got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah.
Just like it's so true. It's magic. It's magic that happens. And I think when there's not the pressure on it to like, ooh, let's talk business, then it just happens.
Yeah, you leave and you're like, oh shit, okay. Like I came here to like just chill and be around people that are like minded, and I left with like, okay, a whole new like understanding of whatever it is, you know. But yeah, it's like, putting yourself in those rooms, you know what I mean? Like, it's sitting at tables with people that, you know, are doing the same thing you want to do, or even just are open to like the ideas. Do you know what I mean? So many people are so like, can't even imagine it. And it's like, even if you can just imagine that, like, it's like, I can get something out of it.
Yeah, 100%. I was just thinking too, one of the women that went to the retreat said it best. She was like, she's like, I'm excited about the soup. Like the energy soup of everybody, because everybody's different, and the soup is always different no matter what conference you go to or retreat you go to. And it's true.
I love that.
The soup.
Oh my God, I love that.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I love it. It's stuck in my mind. She's like, I'm excited about the soup.
Now I'm gonna need some energy soup.
Exactly. I know. I'm with you though. If I could do retreats probably 3 times a year, 4 times a year even. If I could build my life to do that, then I will, because I love to travel. I'm with you. I love the sunshine. I love the ocean, water in general. And I love to be around people and have those thought-provoking, deep, healing, just, you know, really, really raw and authentic conversations. And even as you were talking, I was like, yeah, it's like those moments when you're like cleaning up the kitchen and somebody tells a random story about their kids and their dog, and you get to know people in a way that you just cannot do online. It's just not the same.
No, or even in conference style settings.
Conferences, yeah.
You don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like when there's that rigid agenda that you're following, you have to meet here and have to meet here. You miss out on a lot of like the depth of the conversations that you could essentially get in. And no, I think you definitely need to host a retreat so I can come to
it.
it.
Sounds amazing. I know. I was just thinking maybe we need to start planning one together.
I know.
That would be an awesome
would.
combination. So I want to, like, this is a very personal question that I want to ask you about. I just turned 45 and there's this whole thing that happens around 45, and it's called perimenopause.
Yes.
I know you're not there yet. Do you work with perimenopausal women?
I do. So perimenopause is so interesting, because I was actually just talking to someone about this. It's like everyone's body is so different. I mean, I don't, are you still having a cycle?
I am, but it's like not normal, you know?
Irregular.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you done a full panel recently?
Not recently.
Yeah.
Not a hormone. So I have a doctor. I work with Dr. Nittler in Jeff City. I'm not sure if so he does some of them, but I haven't had my cortisol tested in probably 4 years. And
So yeah, perimenopause is such an interesting thing because I mean I've had clients that have been quote unquote in menopause and we get their cycles back and we're back to like quote unquote their optimal. I'm not going to say normal because I think normal, there is no normal. There is an optimal for your body and it's bioidentical to you and you only.
Right. At any age.
At any age. Right. Yeah. 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 So I think, you know, with perimenopause, I think it's something like a lot of people like freak out about, but like essentially, you know, you can go get labs done if you think you're in that spot. And like most of the time, even if you've had like a crazy drop in progesterone, those are easy things that you can, you know, even castor berry, like we can do natural supplementation to help bring those levels up, even if you don't, you know, TRT, HRT, those things are options. But what I think a lot of people don't understand is like, even knowing that data gives you so much control. Like it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm estrogen dominant. I have no progesterone, no testosterone. Okay, here's why this is happening. Or maybe your estrogen and progesterone's tanking, which is typically what happens. You can supplement those things in or help drive your body to naturally start reproducing that again. And like you said, cortisol stress plays a big role in your body.
It's interesting because I've been on the hormone wellness journey for so long, and it's just there's something, it just changes. It's like the things that you used to do to like be a certain feeling or shape, we'll even say, it's just different.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of in that space where I'm like, okay, what is it? Because I've taken supplements and herbs, and I've worked with many, many different doctors, and I've also been on this hypothyroidism journey for over 20 years. So it's just, it's an interesting thing because there's such a surrender that comes when you know that your body is like, I'm going to start this process whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's a different, I don't know. It's a different mentality for me.
Well, you have no control, right? So it's like you do have to surrender. You know, if you know, then there's, like you said, like we talked about, there's so many different directions you could go with it. It's like, you know, it's truly listening to your body. It's like, what is your body telling you, and what are you going to choose to do with it? But I didn't. So, are you on thyroid medication then? Or
I
no?
am now. Yeah, okay. I've been on and off of it for years because it would make me feel so bad. So I started with levothyroxine, Synthroid, and then I've done Armor, I've done Nature-Throid, I've done regular just T3, I've done, I've done like compounded.
Have you ran a GI map?
No, tell me about that.
Okay, so I'm not going to get too much into that just because it's like I could talk about it for, but typically speaking, anyone who has a thyroid issue, the underlying root cause of that is normally located in the gut.
I believe that.
So, like some sort of gut dysbiosis, overgrowth, those types of things.
Sure.
It could be in a million different directions, but I would be curious to see, if you ran a GI map, what you would see in
interesting.
there. That's typically what we do with like patients who want to come off of thyroid medication. We almost always start with the gut. The problem is with healing, it's a process, and a lot of people aren't willing to go through the process. And healing the gut is, I will tell you, like, I honestly, most of the time, like, I pass them off to someone that just does gut because it's such a process that you have to be willing to truly heal.
Right.
And, but yeah, so like that's typically what I see a lot is like anyone who has an underlying like autoimmune or thyroid issue. Typically speaking, there is oftentimes a something going on in your gut that's actually fueling that dysfunction.
Yeah, I totally believe that. I don't know. I mean, I've had so many different things run over the years.
It's so overwhelming.
But I don't know if I've had that specifically. But I do know at one point, like I did a candida thing because there was some gut dysbiosis with that. And so, I've been working my gut for a long time, but I mean, I still, I'm like, even though I haven't gotten there yet, I know that I've done a ton of healing work.
You've moved forward a lot.
A lot. I mean, just opening up that throat chakra.
Massive.
Yeah. Massive, so I haven't given up on it, and I definitely am somebody who like I would prefer to not be on medicine, but I got to the point where it was like I was pretty much dysfunctional.
Yeah, you have to.
I think until 40 I managed it really well with diet and exercise and mindset and all the other healing modalities I was doing, and then something at 40 I think compounded with the pandemic, just everything went haywire, and I just got to the point where I was like, having to lay down and take a 2-hour nap every day, but also not sleeping at night. And it was just, all of my hormones were whacked because of it. But I didn't know if you had any like.
Oh, girl, I could go into this all day long, believe me. But yeah, like you said, it's so individual. You have to do what's best for you, and you have to. There's no one size fits all, and like that's what like one thing with health in general is like whenever I talk, like I want people to understand like there's no bad or good way. There's really not, and it's like. You have to do what's best for you in that situation, and the biggest thing is like just listening to your body, listening and taking what it's telling you and saying, okay, what can I do with this? What is my next best step? And it's never going to be one size fit all. But I love that you hit on the throat chakra, because just recently I started. So I go to St. Louis once a month now, and I work with her name's Bonnie. She does energy work for me.
Nice,
girl. I love it. I'd done the breath work and all of that, right? But she does the energy work, and like I'm like now a firm believer in it, and just how like I honestly think it's to credit for some of like the transformation that I've had over the last 6 months, but like just like you said, like the inner work and the energy work and working on your chakras and all of that stuff plays such a big role.
It's such a huge role because it's like we can get this strategy all day long. But, I'm sure that you have business clients like this sometimes where it's like, have people come to me, they want to grow their business, but they cannot put themselves out there. They can't, so at the end of the day, it's like, you can have the strategy, but if you can't get on camera and share about what you do, then that is inner work. That's nervous system work. That's energy work. That's healing work. A lot of times it doesn't even start from this life. It's old. It's old. Yeah. I would love to get that woman's number and just.
Oh yeah, she's amazing.
Learn more about her.
Oh gosh, yeah, she's amazing. I actually had them. How I connected with them was I contacted her husband Matt. They spoke. He came to speak at my retreat, which they're kind of like they integrate themselves, which is what I love, and they'll come this year too. But and she hosted some breathwork sessions and stuff while we were there, and I left there and I was like, I have to see you.
I need more.
I need more. So I was like, how can I work with you? And she's like, here's my 6-month package, and I was like, done. And awesome. She's hosting a retreat in St. Louis. And she'd be a great person to talk about retreats with.
Yeah.
Because she travels, her and Matt travel, and they do that stuff. That's basically what they do too. But anyways, they have a retreat in April, and I'm super excited to go to it.
In St. Louis.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I was like, that's a no-brainer. It's St. Louis. It's like, like meeting other people. I don't know anyone else that's going to be there, which I actually love doing that.
Yep.
So it'll be fun, but yeah, I'll have to connect you.
You're looking forward to the soup.
Yeah, I can't wait for the soup. The St. Louis soup.
I love it. I love it. No, it's fun. It's fun to be like far enough away from home and not around people that but close enough that it's not a whole day travel to get home, because that's the only, I love traveling, but that
I do too.
Like a full day of it. And then it's like, I have a travel hangover for another day. So it takes a little bit to recover.
I always like plan an extra day if I can. I'm like, can I get an extra day in before to just for travel so then I don't feel like I'm missing?
Yeah, no, I definitely do too. I'm way more high maintenance than I like to let on, but I need lots of space, lots of time to recover and restore. And I have, zero. I'm not embarrassed about it at all. I need a lot of space. I do. Real quick before we stop, is there anything else you want to add about like the BBA part of your business? And like if somebody's in business and they're wanting to grow, they're wanting to scale, like talk about maybe a little bit more about the program.
Yeah. So BBA is Build Business Academy. So like I said, I created this program. It was 2 years in the making. I created it because of all of those kind of not failed mentorships, but unaligned mentorships. We'll put it that way. So I created a space that's like hybrid. So I consider it hybrid because it's like it allows people to, have the one-on-one while still maintaining like a price point that allows them to actually scale their business. So it's me inside their business while giving them modules to be able to connect and really understand what they need in order to grow their business to the next level. So it's BBAs for anyone who's making under $5K a month. Anyone who wants to grow. And then obviously after that, I have coaching containers that, if you're my private coaching clients are those that are making like 10K, 20K months. And that's really more of like it's a strategic partnership at that point, like it's like I'm as close to a business partner as you can get in your business without owing me any of your business when you get to that point. But yeah, BBA is like kind of my baby. It was one of those things that I kind of dreamt about doing for so long. And then again, turning it into the community of being all those clients have access to the retreat and they get to come to the retreat and be in person. And so it's like, again, another facet to the community that I'm wanting to build. So that's what BBA is.
Did you have any sort of internal weirdness around like shifting from solely like the fitness mentorship into like, no, I'm gonna also coach coaches, because I know a lot of people when they do that, there's kind of like oh shit, am I gonna do this? Am I built for this? That kind of thing. Did you have anything like that, or was it pretty seamless?
I don't know if I think I had like the I doubted if I was capable of doing it. I knew I wanted to do it. I was like, I want to do this. It was more just getting out of my own way with the mindset side of it. Is like, is people going to get value out of this? Are they going to get it? And then, I built this course and like, I have people going through it now that are signing their first 5 clients in the first 4 to 6 weeks. Like they're making money. It works. So I knew I wanted to do it. It kind of fell in my lap, to be honest with you. Like I grew my fitness business and then I had people coming to me and my friends and were like, okay, like, how are you doing? And I was helping them and they're like, okay, well, I'm making 5 to 10K a month now. And I'm like, well, shit. Okay. Maybe what I'm doing is working. And then, I worked with private clients for those 2 years while I was building BBA. And then, my private clients now are upwards of 15 to 20K plus months. So it's like what I'm doing, I do believe in.
Sure.
So, and I think that's important, right? Like,
absolutely.
I really firmly believe in, you have to be a good fit for it, right? And you have to be a good fit for my coaching, because I coach a very specific way. I talk a very specific way. I have to have connection. I have to have the ability to have communication. And I say that to everyone. I'm like, you're coming to this container and like, we can make 5K a month. I fucking know we can do it. I wouldn't be talking to you if we couldn't. But if you're not willing to tell me what you're feeling, if you're having a hard time, your successes, your struggles, anything in between, like, it's going to be really hard for me to help you grow this, because again, this is not like a box I'm cramming you into. Like, I can't make this fit you if I don't know what the fuck's going on. So like, that's literally what I tell people. Like my sales calls, some people probably cringe when they watch my sales calls, but I'm like, I'm coaching you. Like, this is what it is. Like, let's fucking go.
Right. Right. It's better to just give him that up front rather than get in the container and then they're like, wait, who is this person?
Yeah, it removes gray area, right? Like, I don't want any gray area. I'm like, what you see is what you get. And I think when you come into a call with me or you're interested in it, it's like, I know my ideal client, right? Like if I get someone and I'm talking to someone, they're like, there's any type of like thought maybe like that we're not vibing, I'm very much the type of person to be like, hey, like, look, I believe in what you're doing, but I don't think I'm the right person to get you there. And I have no problem saying that. And I have friends in the industry, like, I'll pass them off. I'll be like, hey, I think this person would be a great fit for you. I'm going to connect you and like do that. And I think, again, that was scarcity mindset. Like, I don't have that around it. But again, it's connection. If I don't have that connection, I can't help you grow.
Yep.
And it always comes back to that. Yeah.
Number one, you have to be able to trust each other. It has to flow both ways.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I love what you're doing. I love it.
You.
I do want to ask you about one more thing, and then I promise I'll let you go. Discipline. Can we talk about discipline?
Yes.
Because I struggle in that area.
Yeah.
So I would like, will you just, how do you coach your people?
So I think, again, I think this is like, discipline for each person is different, right? I'm very much on, I think in order to get like quote unquote disciplined or know what's going to work with you, you have to be kind of like met where you're at, right? So like, I can't say like, if you're saying I'm having a hard time tracking my meals or I've never tracked my meals and I don't like it, I can't say like, oh, I need you to do this or you're going to be successful. We have to work up to that, right? I think discipline in itself is habits, right? And habits have to fit your lifestyle that you want to live, right? So if you're telling me like, this could go for business or fitness, right? Like, I want to be lean going into the summer and I want to be making 10K a month and blah, blah, blah. Okay, great. Tell me what you're doing now. Okay, well, here's what we need to do in order to get there. But how is this going to fit into your life? And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck or plateau or don't make progress, whether it's fitness or business, is like, they're trying to create discipline or habits and spaces in their life that will never fucking work. It's like trying to like put a puzzle piece that will never fit, right?
Right.
So for me, when someone says like, I struggle with discipline, I'm like, okay, well, what has discipline looked like to you? Like, what have you been trying to fit in? And then saying like, okay, well, you're doing it this way. Maybe we do it a little different, right? So for example, like simple as like meal tracking. In order to know what's going into your body and to have valid data, which you need data at some point in your fitness journey. You don't track your meals forever. You have to be able to do that, right? So like, it's like someone comes to me and they're like, I don't like tracking macros. Okay, great. So let's figure out a way to do it that fits you, right? And then we create the habit, which ultimately, quote unquote, leads to discipline. And it can look different. So I think it's like, again, when it comes to coaching, it's like, for me, it's like meeting the person where they're at and like understanding what has worked and what hasn't worked and say, okay, well, let's start here. And it has to be, to me, coaching has to be a collaborative experience. I don't like coaching at someone. Like that works for me. Like I have a coach that literally I pay him and he tells me what to do. And like, I barely ever talk to him, right? I've been in the industry long enough. That's what I need. But like for a lot of people that I work with, that's never going to work. I need to get them to the point to where they feel good in what they're doing and the direction that they're going, and they have that momentum, and then we can build on it. So I know that's a very long answer to your question, but I think discipline is habits, and habits should be fit into your life where you're at right now and then built on, not crammed in and then hoping that it fucking works because you're going to fail.
Right. No, I think that's beautifully described. I think that a lot of my issue is, I think freedom is one of like my core values. And so when I feel restricted by someone else or by myself, then I get kind of like, you know, but even just as you were talking about it in the meet you where you're at, I think so many times when I have tried to get help from somebody, it does feel very much like it's my way or the highway. And there doesn't feel like there's that middle ground where it's like, okay, you're having, because I think a lot of the other issue too is that I think the like intuitive ADD part of, you know, my brain can be like focused on a million things that aren't actually in this room.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
So I think like ADD is a part of that as well, where it's like, it's just sometimes not organic. There's that music again. How funny.
Dun, dun.
I have never I've been doing this podcast for 3 years. I've never had so many weird glitchy things.
I love it for us, honestly.
I know. We're just gonna go with it. I don't even want to turn it off now because it's like a vibe.
We're jamming at this point.
It's gonna turn off on its own here in a second. Oh, funny. Okay. It's just one of those days.
Hey, it's all right.
It's just one of those days.
I do love music, though. I think I could jam out some music all day long, so it's fine.
I do too. I love the song I have before the podcast. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Awesome. This has been so helpful and just amazing to connect and do this in person. And
it has been.
You're just a lovely soul, and
thank you.
Feels very nice to be in your presence. So thank you so much for your time. Yeah. How can people find you, reach you if they want to connect?
Yeah. So on Instagram, I'm Balancing Breland, and I'm on all social medias, basically that. And then my website is getting redone, new personal brand, which I'm excited about. So that will launch soon, but that's brendabreland.com. Don't go there now. It's not live, but hopefully in the next month or so it will be. But yeah, I'm always available if anyone has any questions or wants to just chat, slide into the DMs. I'm always in there.
Beautiful. Thanks, lady. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey again, just dropping back in to extend a huge thank you for being here and sticking around until the very end. I know this episode sparked some serious aha moments, so don't forget to send it over to a friend, family member, or even a colleague who could really benefit from this episode, or maybe even one from the past. And here's the really cool part. Sharing this podcast episode, and if you're feeling it, only if you're feeling it, leaving a 5-star review will help both boost the episode so that we can inspire even more people to unlock a more joyful, free, and magical life. Also, don't forget to check out the show notes. I've got a resource bundle down there with free access to courses, meditations, tapping scripts, and you can also find information on how to book a consultation and work with me one-on-one if that is speaking to you. I would love to connect on my social media channels, so follow along Kelly How Coaching on Facebook and Instagram, and This Is How on TikTok, since it looks like TikTok isn't going anywhere. And I'll see you in the next episode.